so much for being here. Really appreciate you guys spending some time to hear this talk. Frankly, it's an honor to be in a room where collectively I think we have about 300 years worth of total experience in marketing. So I doubt there is anything I'm going to say here which you've not heard before, or anything which is absolutely new. So the idea of this entire session is to give you ideas on how to retain your users better, how to engage them better. I'm going to try and make it very, very easy, and I'm going to try and make it very short so that you guys have time to interact. Ask questions after the session's over, and more than happy to answer any questions on our booth outside. So very quickly, how does this work? Oh, okay. Very, very quickly, I think they've done a very long introduction, but yes, I'm with AppsFlyer. I've been in the ecosystem for about 12 years. But today, today we're going to talk about some of the questions that we've heard from you. And these are some of the things that we've heard over and over again from audiences, from people who want to talk about measurement in general. And the key concerns for them are, what are the re-engagement strategies? How do you bring AI into your outreaches? How do you make sure that despite huge competition, your user acquisition strategies are working? So this is where we're going to talk about the key takeaways in terms of retention tips, UA and CRM recommendations. So let's begin. Great. First thing first, and again, I think last session there was a lot of good intel and ideas about localized insights around how a lot of businesses are spending a lot of money on apps. How, for example, if you're a business in UAE, chances are 47% of your users are checking you out on apps, even if you have an website. And chances are only about 27% of your users are actually checking out your website. So it becomes really, really clear that, yes, you have to spend your attention on the website, but at the same time, you have to spend your attention on the apps as well. However, having said this, 2024, this data clearly shows that uninstalls are still a big problem. Now, how is this a big problem and where? So if you look at the overall categories, you will notice that dating and gaming is probably on the one end of the extreme, where Gen Z, we call them Gen Z divorce on dating apps, wherein you install the application, after some time you uninstall the application. The uninstall rates are very, very high there. The next follow-up on that one is gaming usually, which is hyper-casual. And a lot of times why these apps uninstall the application is mainly because of the space on their phones. They install the application, they uninstall the application very, very quickly. However, if you go through the graphs, you will notice that finance is somewhere in the middle. And within EMEA, and within Middle East as a market, finance is probably one of the most growing categories with 22% year-on-year growth. Now, on the tail end of it is actually travel. And you don't have to go far to actually recognize this. If you check your phone, chances are there are 7 or 8 different apps which are sitting in your app, in your phone. Chances are they have very, very good engagement models wherein they're either sending you offers, emails, push notifications, and maybe all of them to engage yourself. And I think in last session, one thing which was, there was a number that was put by OAS, and that was a really good number, which said, within first 3 days, you might lose 79% of the people who are installing the application. However, if you look at the data more clearly, you will notice out of that 79%, 50% of the user loss will happen within first 24 hours. At the same time, the most interesting thing is over 50% of your first purchases will also happen within first 24 hours, which highlights the importance of retention and re-engagement. So here we go with the practices. First, and I cannot emphasize this more, if you want to reduce your uninstalls, measure it. Show of hands, how many of you actually measure uninstalls right now? A handful of you. And you know what, when I look at this stat, this is where the need for education is probably there. If you're not tracking uninstalls, you can never fix it. Make sure you have correct tech stack on your side, which gives you correct information about where your users are coming from, where they're installing your applications from, and more importantly, how and when are they uninstalling the applications. You'd be shocked at the numbers that you will see. Most of the marketing budgets that you're spending are actually getting you less than 24 hours of runtime with your users. 2, prioritize first-day engagements. As I mentioned earlier, 50% or more of your installs are actually, I think the number is around 56% of your total number of installs, especially in e-commerce as a category, get lost within first 24 hours. At the same time, around 52% of the first purchases actually take place within first 24 hours as well. Make sure you're organizing your marketing activities. It's a misconception that if you reach out to your customers who have installed the application within first 24 hours, you're going to upset them. Chances are, if you're engaging with them And if you're meaningfully engaging with them, you will increase the chances of them becoming sticky customers. Deliver on your promise. Again, marketing at the end of the day is common sense. If you're promising something, make sure that happens. If you're showing a creative, for example, you're in travel space and you're promising 20% discount, make sure when the user clicks on that creative, gets 20% discount. Third, maintain app engagement after install. And again, this is, I'm sure majority of this crowd already knows how complicated app ecosystem has become, especially with iOS privacy-centric issues, restricted data, re-engagement issues. Make sure you use every single arrow in your arsenal. SMS, emails, push notification, organic social. All of this is your own media, which is actually an exception to a lot of privacy restrictions that you will face within paid media space. Make sure you use them. In fact, the numbers behind these are incredible. On iOS devices, if you use deep links, there is a 56% chance the user clicking on it will make a purchase. It's exceptional. On Android devices, the number is around 24%, but on iOS device, where people are facing these issues, it's an incredible space and opportunity that you're missing out. Listen to your users' feedback. Again, common sense. Make sure that you're listening to your voice of customer. Make sure you're actioning on that. People who will see, who will make a notice of you listening to their feedback, chances are they'll respond very, very kindly. Identify app milestones. Once again, one of the biggest problems in the app ecosystem is how difficult it is to connect in-app activity to marketing activity. Most of the people in this audience will have faced this problem at some point in their career, wherein they've spent hundreds of millions of dollars on the marketing activity. Some activity has happened, which means the primary KPI that they're chasing, maybe the top of the funnel, has happened, but they don't know how it is materialized to the end business desired outcome on their side, which could be increase in revenue, which could be increase in KYCs, especially in Dubai, where fintech is an upcoming space. How many times the first-time deposits are happening? How many people are completing the KYCs? How many people are actually adding items to the card? If you do not know what to track, you will never be able to fix it. So make sure you have the right measurement tools at your disposal to ensure you're tracking both web and app activity, and more importantly, connecting it. Another very common one, build an exceptional app. When we say this, what we mean, make it easy for your users to navigate. Make sure the user experience inside your application is as simple. As long as you're keeping it simple, chances are your users will get more value out of your application. Real-life use cases of how these examples could work. Make sure, so by the way, if you are doing all the best practices that were mentioned earlier, chances are you will have a lot of data at your side, with the help of which you'll be able to create a lot of segmentation. And that segmentation is usually on the basis of the in-app behavior that they're doing, what activities they've done, what interests they've shown on their side, and based on that, utilize your CRM. Utilize your ESPs, utilize the tech stacks that you're using on your site to make sure the right types of personalized emails are sent. Make sure if a user has shown interest in baby products, the baby products are the highlight and the focus of the email or the WhatsApp message or the SMS that the users are receiving. And make sure everything which is being sent to them is being measured, because chances are you will have a gut-based reaction to a lot of things. Something is happening outside in the world that will create an urgency within your media teams, marketing teams. They're sending a message without measuring it, without knowing whether it's harming them or not. So make sure it's being measured over there. Another real-life use case which we see on day-to-day basis is activating new users. So if a user has just install the application, making sure that that user is being, the outreaches that you're doing are being personalized for that. You create audience segmentations, installed but did not do an activity. Make sure you're re-engaging that user either by paid activity. So a big myth is, if you spent money to bring the user to your application, the job is done. That's not the case. If you've actually spent a significant amount of money to bring your, whether you're tracking CAC or you're tracking CPI on your site, and you've already spent that much money to bring the user to install the application, what use is that user if that user does not do anything? So if you need to reinvest into that user so that you spend the money on paid media channels to do the existing user re-engagement, it's the best investment that you can make. Selling to the existing app users is far easier than selling to a user who's installing your application for the first time. Make sure this happens. And finally, again, Cart abandonment. So cart abandonment is another very, very good example within the e-commerce space that a lot of customers end up missing, especially when they have both web presence and app presence. Usually, a lot of times what will happen, if you have a brand and a massive brand equity on website, a user journey will start on website, but will finish on app, or vice versa. Chances are, in your systems, in your departments, most likely there are two separate teams. One team which is looking at website separately, and the other team which is looking at the apps separately. There is a massive need, especially in today's day and age, wherein within e-commerce, roughly globally about 30% of the revenue is now coming from mobile apps. Even if you're not doing any remarketing activities, it becomes exceptionally important for you guys to connect these two dots together. Make sure that you find who was that user who started the checkout activity on the app but never completed it. Who was that user who started the activity on the web but never finished it on the app? Make sure that you're measuring those input points so that you can make informed decision, actionable insight on your side. Finally, make sure incrementality. I think today in the morning I was having this conversation with somebody where there was a massive debate around should you be doing retargeting, because what if you're cannibalizing your own organic users? What if you did not do anything and still the organic user would have made a purchase? That's a very interesting question. Make sure you're A/B testing those channels. If you're spending money on your own media campaign, earned media campaigns, paid media campaigns, make sure that you're measuring the incremental lift in the conversions that's coming from your mobile app activities. Finally, AI best practices. Once again, measure your AI creatives. We're living in an age where your creative generation is no longer restricted to a creative studio. Your marketing teams themselves can create animated creatives. Your marketing teams themselves can create hundreds of creative variations by language, by positioning, by orientation, by media sources. Make sure that, and sometimes, especially if you're in the e-commerce segment wherein you're using rich media creatives across multiple channels, it becomes really hard to measure them. Make sure you're utilizing AI to find out when the creative fatigue is happening. At what time do you need to think about a new creative so that the conversions from the creative are at the most optimized level for you. So with this, I'm going to stop the session here. There's a QR code which has state of e-commerce report on that. For very much localized and personalized benchmarks, we have a lot of benchmarks around fintech and e-commerce. If you want to discuss them, please come to us at our booth outside. And I still have about 3 minutes left in the session, so I open the session to you guys. If you have any questions, I'm more than happy to address a couple of questions. Brilliant. Oh.
I can yell. Yeah, you can hear me now. Do you have any platform specifically that you use in AI for creative optimization, or it's just ChatGPT, or do you use DALL-E and any integration?
I mean, the simple answer is AppsFlyer. But,
of course.
But yeah, there are tons of these tools coming out. Depends what kind of creative needs you have. If you have creative needs towards attribution, then AppsFlyer is one of the contenders for you. However, in the market, nowadays, I'd be shocked if there is any tool which is not inculcating AI as part of their services. So if you looked at any creative aggregation tools out there, I think very recently somebody mentioned Motion to me, which I've checked. And I think they have some AI components. But make sure that whichever tool you have has some kind of AI services that allows you to analyze the data. On top of this, I think a lot of times when you look at the creative insights, you don't consume creative insights on a dashboard. You will most likely pass that data to your in-house tech stack, which could be a BigQuery, which could be Snowflake, which could be any backend tech stack that you're using. Chances are most of these tech stacks are providing you those AI capabilities to combine the data, enrich the data, and optimize the data the way you would want to see. But the bottom line here is, do not rely on human intervention when you're comparing hundreds of creative variations. Make sure that you're utilizing at least some portion of AI over there. And there are better tools than ChatGPT, but in absence of any other tool, please make use of ChatGPT. Brilliant. That's my time, but thank you so much for your attention, and feel free to come and talk to us.